Greetings, I'm Rob Chapman.
And that made no difference whatsoever. Right.
What's this, Lee?
This is a Fender, well, it's a Squier Stratocaster, and we're about to shoot a video, one of the most requested videos that we've had in our 2 years of making these fun episodes for you, which is basically what happens in the Fender range when you go from a Squier down at the bottom and you kind of move up and up and up and up and you end up with a custom shop guitar at the top. And why are they different?
So Captain Lee has specifically chosen for you from his angelic hands and stock at Andertons.co.uk something from each price point.
So I've got 4 guitars. Now Fender, when I first started selling guitars, Fender made a very small range of guitars. You either bought a Squier Strat or you bought an American Fender Strat. And to be completely honest with you, that was about it. They now make a guitar at almost every single price that you can imagine, starting from sort of, £100 you can buy in a pack and learn to play on, right up to £5,000 where you can choose your master builder and get the same guy who makes all the Strats for Eric Clapton to build a guitar for you. So I've chosen the 4 guitars in the range that I think kind of show off the best of each of those genres. So just to recap quickly, I've got a Squier Classic Vibe. Now this is one of the more upscale Squiers, so it's not down at the £100 sort of pound range, but it's somewhere between sort of £250 and £300 for one of these. I've got the Mexican Fender Standard Strat, which is going to cost you about £400, and that's one of the first guitars that you'll get in their range where it'll say Fender on the headstock rather than Squier.
It's a MIM.
Yeah, I've got an American Standard Strat, so that's the kind of the guitar that's been in their catalogue right from day one. The American Standard, the one that sets, I think, the standard for kind of all other guitars. And then we've got a custom shop, custom deluxe 2012 spec Strat as well. So I'm going through the Blues Junior now. Oh dear, it's been a month.
So we're kind of shooting a versus video, but it's a bit more than just a versus because we're going to be showing you all the different kinds of elements that make each of these guitars special.
Yeah, and hopefully what you'll be able to see is what gets better as you go up through the range, but also it'll maybe point out things where there is some amazing value to be had, in some of the lower range guitars. So you start with that. Let me tell you about Classic Vibe. There are basically 2 or 3 series, or 3 or 4 series of Squier guitar. The Affinity series is what you might learn to play on. That's your real starter sort of series, the kind of thing you get in the packs. You have your Standard series, which is a little bit better, but actually is kind of being squeezed out the catalogue now, been sort of overtaken with Classic Vibe and Vintage Modified. And Classic Vibe and Vintage Modified Squiers are all sort of like a throwback to sort of older guitars.
It's a really, really good Chinese-made Squier, nice rolled fingerboard. It's a lacquered neck, lovely and skinny, but not too skinny that you're going to get lack of tone coming through to the body. The neck feels fantastic. I mean, there's nothing not to like about the feeling of this neck.
What's cool about this is that it's a 50s vibe Strat. So if you go back to the early, like a 57 Strat, which is this classic 2-tone sunburst, the gloss lacquered maple board. But this is a little different from one of those in that it's a modern C-shaped neck, so it's that skinnier neck that most people agree is more
bigger
comfortable to play.
frets too. You're not playing invisible frets.
Bigger frets. So let's hear it.
So we've got the neck pickup. Let me tune it for you.
Try tuning it. Yeah. Tell us about the tuning pegs.
They're the lovely F-style ones where you just poke the string down the middle, fold it over, and they never ever go wrong. I love these tuning pegs.
So they're vintage, kind of authentic, if you like. That's pretty much what the pegs on an old Fender Strat would have looked like. These are all, by the way, straight out the box. We haven't done any kind of jiggery pokery to make them better.
We're inching for the 60s now, so 50s even. So, sorry, neck pickup. Step it one down.
I'll stop you there. Just
Yeah.
That's one of the first things again that has been sort of upgraded, if you like, from what an original 57 Strat. So an original 50 Strat would have had a 3-way pickup.
Yeah.
They didn't at first realise you could do these kind of out of phase kind of sounds until someone accidentally kind of wedged the switch in between and went, hey, that sounds cool. So Fender said, okay, we'll make you a switch that does that. So this has a 5-way.
Oh, they used to hold them in position, didn't they?
Yeah,
You
you
told
used
me
to
that.
sort of wedge them in between the pickups, and it would by accident get those sounds.
One more down. Yeah,
That sounds really
it is the middle
fat,
pickup,
isn't
it? But it's got that crisp air to it as well that I like. It sounds like Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran's come. He's right behind you. There, he's come over here.
Oh, hello! I've come to play some Pink Floyd. That's my new song.
For the record, I actually really like Ed Sheeran.
I like Ed Sheeran too. I think all gingers should be given a chance. Down one more.
Let me just. Hopefully, you'll be able to hear this on the mic. A little bit of buzz.
Buzz, go away.
No buzz. Bit of buzz. Go away. This is a classic Strat. You might call it a problem, but let's say characteristic of Strats with single coil pickups, or any guitars with single coil pickups. On the original 50 Strats, where you had your 3 single coil pickups, it would have been a bit of a problem if you were playing, particularly with high gain, not that they had high gain, but with loud amplifiers and a bit of gain on the amp, because the buzz gets worse with gain. And the way Fender worked out that you could get rid of that was if you wind the middle pickup, it's called reverse wound, so you wind it in the opposite direction to the bridge in the middle, the bridge and the neck pickup, and then use 2 single coil pickups together. Part of that kind of phase cancellation that you get that makes the sound different also results in hum cancellation. So 1 pickup on its own, 2 pickups together, nice and quiet.
There's so much variety in tone to a Strat from.
So there's really, I genuinely do believe that the Squier Classic Vibe series is getting back to some of the quality levels that you used to get on these kind of really revered original old Squiers when they were coming out of Japan. The very early Squier Japanese stuff is highly sought after because it was essentially all American parts shipped over to Japan and then basically just a Japanese guitar made. These aren't anywhere like that kind of standard in terms of the hardware. In fact, if I can just get Rob to sort of point out a couple of things where you'll realise that this is still a relatively sort of low-end guitar. The tremolo system is really there just for show. So if you try and use the trem system, you'll see. So it's really, I wouldn't buy this guitar if you were kind of, really into using that nice kind of fluttered tremolo system.
Well, unless you spent a long time setting it up and got some Big Ben's nut sauce and did the whole job, but it's not a great trem.
No, it's not designed for, it's not as good quality as you'll get as we go up through the range. Things like the switching and the pots probably aren't going to live up to the rigours of someone who's, really using this day in, day out.
But I must say that normally when you find an affordable guitar, you notice the build quality and the finish too, and that there's not a single flaw anywhere, like around the neck where you normally get little untidy parts, or the nut being dressed not quite the way it should be, or the frets. The frets are just flawless, really.
They've done an amazing job on Classic Vibe. These are solid alder bodies, and basically, within Classic Vibe and Vintage Modified in the Squier range, there's a ton of, you can have Strats, Telecasters, Jaguars, Jazzmasters, Mustangs, bass guitars. So go to the Andertons website, just literally type in Squier Classic Vibe or Squier Vintage Modified, and you'll see a ton of stuff, and they're all beautifully made. Superb.
Yeah, wicked.
Anyway,
one plat and a Fender.
So you definitely, if you guys have got, £250-300 to spend on a guitar, you could do a lot worse than look at Classic Vibe. But next, we are going to go up to the Fender Standard Strat made in Mexico.
So we've got it.
Yep.
And the first thing that's really noticeable is that it's a little bit heavier, slightly thicker bodywork.
I think it is a little thicker, isn't it, design?
Definitely. And the neck, what I really like about this is that it's a satin finish on the back, feels really nice, but the front is that glossy looking loveliness.
It's what I liked about this particular guitar, the Mexican Standard Strat, had an upgrade around about the back end of 2011. Fender didn't make a very big deal over the upgrade because I think there was like a transition period between some old stock and new stock coming through. But they're basically all like this now, or at least the maple neck ones are. And if you go back to the 50s, you had a completely gloss finish neck, so gloss fretboard and the gloss back of the neck. And then people kind of said, over time they went, you know what? I kind of find the neck a bit sticky with the gloss on it, and different artists like Clapton had all the gloss taken off his neck.
I've played a gig before with a gloss back neck, and it was an hour and a half worth of playing.
Yeah.
And at the end of it, if I pushed my thumb into the back of the neck, it would leave a print.
Yeah.
So it isn't just a myth.
So it's pretty sticky, isn't it?
Yeah, I much prefer it without the gloss.
So then Fender said, okay, well, we'll just do them with no gloss on the neck. And for a long time, Fender American Strats and Mexican Strats just had no gloss on the neck. And then more recently, I think on the and then they started doing things like, we're going to put gloss on the headstock because kind of like people like the look of it. And then the latest modification, which is on the American standards now and more recently on the Mexican stuff, is they've said, and I think this is the best of both worlds, this is gloss fretboard, so you get that super glassy kind of feel as you're doing vibrato, and it sounds very authentic Fender because the tone of the string is sort of picking up that gloss kind of glass. But the back of the fretboard, where your hand is moving up and down, is satin finish. So I think this is kind of best of both worlds.
Yeah.
So that's one of the feature upgrades that you're not going to get any lower down the range than the Mexican. What you've just demoed there, that sound is the sort of seminal Fender driven guitar sound. You know, it's not a metal guitar. No. You do get the odd player like, you know, Jim Root, who'll kind of whack some EMGs in there, or
Maiden.
even guys like Maiden, even guys like Richie Blackmore, who'll kind of beef up the pickups together, or Yngwie. But your stock kind of Fender Strat is all about your clean country blues, funk, sort of rock sound. And with a nice amp and a decent pedal, you get some killer sounds.
You could do all sorts of quick runs because the neck feels far. It's just easy to play. It's much well, it's not much easier to play. It just feels nicer to the hand. Louder as well. Have you noticed that?
It is a little loud. We should say we're not changing the knobs at all on any of these amplifiers. So all four guitars that you hear today have got identical settings on.
So here are the pickup tones. I'll play some basic chords for you. Nice and necky. Step it one down. So now we're in the middle position and we're tuned.
Both guitars so far on the middle position I've really liked, and I think most guitarists, or certainly I do, I know, kind of only really assume that the middle position is only there for one reason, and that's to use as an out of phase position with one of the other ones. You don't really use it on its own, but it's nice. It's got that. It's kind of not as muddy as the neck pickup, but not as piercing as the bridge.
It's more of a funk position, isn't it? I kind of snappy but a bit fat kind of sound.
Yeah.
Step it down one more. Last pickup position.
Awesome. Yeah. So, a few other things that you'll like about the Mexican Strat, and again, if you think that this is your sort of ballpark in terms of money, by all means also look at the Classic series from Fender and the Blacktop series, because they come from the same place that this is made, and they might give you some different options. Blacktop is more contemporary, Classic is more classic, I suppose, you know, retro 50s and 60s stuff. This is kind of the standard sort of in the middle. Loads of different colours you could choose from. So other things that you'll see, we've got a proper trem system on here now, so that they'll come set up, so it's like a millimetre or so off the body. Now that's going to allow you to do your kind of classic sort of Hank Marvin-y type flutter tremolo, as ably demonstrated by Hank Chapman. Now you couldn't do that on the Squier one because it was bolted down.
Yeah.
If you want your total tuning stability, you can always bolt this one back as well. But if you want to be able to do that kind of flutter, you need to have them set up like this one.
Yeah.
You can go a bit Hendrix as well, but we'll probably have some tuning problems. But let's see what happens if you go a bit of Hendrix.
Let's put the Berserker and the Pinnacle on.
I suspect we've ruined the tuning on this now. We're fine. Yeah. So that's a prop. Again, if you use a trem system like that and it's a vintage style trem system, that's going to happen. Interestingly, when we go up to the American stuff, it's a different style trem system. We might find that that's a bit more stable. We've got an upgraded kind of Fender machine head on this, so it's an enclosed machine head. Different colours. These are solid alder bodies as well. I do want to say, actually, we talked a little bit about the gloss fretboard and the satin back. That only applies on the maple neck ones. If you buy a rosewood board, the rosewood will always be natural on the front. You never see a glossed rosewood. I wonder why that is, actually.
That is
never
a good
see
point.
Glossed rosewood.
Yeah, why not?
I wonder what that's like. Anyway.
Why not gloss rosewood love?
And of course, if you do, if you get into your tone and you're really quite into the sort of the minor sort of details, what you'll tend to find is that a maple fretboard, particularly a glossed Frapel metboard, a maple, can't even say
A glossed Frapel metboard.
That sounds like a coffee from Starbucks. I'll have a frost mopped laptop, please. No, a glossed maple fretboard or a regular maple fretboard will be a little bit brighter than a rosewood board.
Tell you what, that love pedal and the combination's great, isn't it?
I've used this before in videos. It's called a love pedal E6 into a Fender Blues Junior. It's a real nice
it's the Chapman sound.
And I love about, again, you can do this with most guitars, but Fender's, again, so easy to kind of go clean sound, bit more volume for a bit more volume, and the next thing. And I've done that with no button pressing, nothing, just fiddling with the volume. Yeah. So we like that. So, but now we're gonna go up to kind of the daddy, the original, the American Fender Standard Strat. I can't always be the one to shelter you from me. Wash away the surface and you'll be reborn
Well, it feels a lot different.
So, the American Standard Strat, as I said, it's a legend of a guitar. Arguably the most iconic shaped guitar ever. So we've made a jump up now from the £400 Mexican sort of standard Strat up to about £1,000 now. So it's quite a big leap, but don't forget, the Mexican range goes up to about £600 or £700, so you can look at. I tell you what I didn't mention before. Of course, in the Mexican range, you've got road worn. So you've got classic series, standard series, blacktop series, and road worn. Then the very first American guitar you can get is a relatively new one in the range. Probably been in the range for about 4 or 5 years, called the Special, and that's actually a sort of a stripped down version of the standard. I'm kind of in my own mind. I don't mind the special, but I kind of think really if you're going to buy an American guitar, the standard is what you're really kind of pitching at.
You may as well just go there, mightn't you?
That's my sort of feeling. So you can buy an American Fender Special for less than this. The reason I think this one is just over £1,000 is because it's one of the sunburst finishes, which when you get up to, in a lot of the Fender range, you pay a small sort of upcharge for sunburst. So you can still get the solid colour versions of these for under £1,000. So things like, or no, not under £1,000, pretty much £1,000 on the nose, like the blacks and the reds and stuff like that, which are cool. So this is 100% now made and assembled in California, and it's a beautiful guitar. Rob, tell me your initial, what do you feel?
Well, I mean, it plays just superbly. I mean, it feels really high quality. Everything feels fast and quick and slick, and it just feels wonderful to play. I suppose the biggest design difference, probably other than maybe the woods, that it's a 2-point synchronized trem rather than the 5-point on the previous one.
6, yeah,
6, yeah,
absolutely.
So it basically what that means is that it's anchored into these two poles. It can't slip, and it just stays in tune easier.
I mean, some of the other features are we have these beveled edges on the fretboard now. I don't know if you can really. I mean, you can definitely feel that when you.
It's rolled, isn't it?
Yeah,
it feels like it's rolled.
Before it was rolled, there was quite an angular sort of edge to the fretboard. Now it's really smooth, kind of feels like you've owned the guitar a long time. We've got again the satin finish on the back, the gloss finish on the front, American pickups on here now, upgraded electronics. So these are what are called I think they're called no load. You can feel it on. Can you feel that notch on the tone control there? If you.
Oh yeah.
What that essentially means is that rather than the tone control when it's all the way up just being on its sort of maximum setting, now when this is all the way up it's kind of bypassed.
Oh, like
so it's
yeah.
So in other words, what it's essentially saying is that what you really want with the tone all the way up is the pot having no tonal effect on the guitar.
I didn't know that. That's interesting. I want to hear the difference then. So we're going to try out this tone situation with a notch. So in the middle pickup, this is it bypassed then.
Yeah.
So we've got no tone going in. And now it's engaged as much as it could be.
No. It's so if you imagine a tone control all the way up shouldn't be having any tonal impact on a pickup.
All right. Yeah.
So, but obviously on a standard tone pot, the signal is still going through the pot. So there is an argument that it's still having some impact. So the argument with this is when the pot is full up, it's bypassed.
It's completely bypassed.
Yeah.
So basically it goes from all the tone on to less, and then completely bypassed.
Yes.
All right. Here's the tone all the way on then. Tell you what, while I'm playing, you should incrementally.
So we're going to start with the tone rolled all the way down. So this is all the kind of treble taken off. Now I think again, a lot of very pro kind of guitar players will tinker with the volume and tone controls and find settings that they really, really like. Most of us kind of mere mortal guys just end up with everything on 10 all the time and never really explore. And I definitely think, with a good tone circuit like you've got in here, there really are, maybe, I don't know how usable all the way off is, but I was finding with it round about 3 or 4.
It's usable with a gain.
It's almost that. Yeah, it's
Queens of the
cool.
Stone Age, kind of grungy stuff. A lot of people turn the tone off and use it that way.
So we've got an older body, but there are options now on the American Strats depending on which colours you go for to go for an ash body. We've got things like the micro tilt on the back of the headstock here. Micro tilt is used to adjust the sort of angle of the neck and helps to get the setup just right and the action exactly how you want it. What else have we got feature-wise? Again, upgraded machine heads again. My favourite Fender logo. I know it's just a personal thing, but the sort of spaghetti.
It says US
logo
on the back, which makes you feel nice. It just makes you feel nice, doesn't it?
Comes with a hard case now and a candy pack of things like a strap and stuff like that, which none of the models we've showed you below come with. So let me talk about the trem, because that's one of the things. The very first 2-point trems were used on the sort of the old what's called the Strat Plus, which is an old sort of back end of the 80s, kind of like an upgraded standard Strat. And if you look on a vintage Strat, there are 6 very kind of Neanderthal looking sort of screws that basically just screw the trem into the guitar. And essentially that's the problem, that basically as you're using the trem, there's so much kind of friction and lack of fluidity with the way the trem is
you had to get all
added.
6 equally heighted, because if one of them was the wrong height, it would rock and it would change.
Yeah, so the trem very rarely returns to its original position on those kind of things, which is why when you hear the Hendrixy kind of mad trem stuff, you have real bad tuning problems. So this is almost kind of like taking a leaf out of the Floyd Rose kind of. If you look at a Floyd Rose trem system, again, it's basically on 2 pivot points, and it can rock very smoothly back and forward now. The original version of this trem system had a higher mass saddle, like these more block kind of looking saddles, which I quite like. I quite like the tone on them, and interestingly, on the custom shop stuff, still use those. But in an effort to sort of make it more authentic and vintagey sounding, Fender went back to using a traditional looking saddle on the American trem system, but still with this 2-point trem. So if Rob wants to do a bit of demoing now where we show the flutter style trem, like the Hank Marvin thing, but then it go a bit more crazy, and we'll see how the tuning stays. So yeah, let's engage the gain and do some crazy kind of Hendrix stuff.
Crazy Hendrix stuff.
If you again, that's massively, massively better than we were able to achieve on the trem system that's on the Mexican Strat. So that's kind of, I think that was a really good actually demonstration of sort of why this is a sort of an upgraded, better guitar for the sort of the pro guitar player.
There is a discernible difference in feel there. I mean, if you just sit here playing it, it just has some kind of reassuring feel of quality that you can't quite put your finger on why, but it just does.
Now I have an American Strat.
I don't.
You don't have an American Strat. I have an American Strat that I've had for a long time now. You've probably seen it. It's the white one. I've modified it up like crazy.
I've had your famous white Strat.
Yeah, I've had that for a long.
The one there.
Yeah, that's true. The one here. I've had that for a long time. I think I bought that Strat when I was about in my early 20s, and that's one of the things with American Strats it's quite difficult to quantify from a price point of view, but there is a sense once you've bought an American Strat that you've got a pro guitar. That's it. You've got the Strat now. There's no real kind of need to sort of go, oh, the next time I'm in a music store, maybe I'll just try and see if there's a better one or whatever.
You've got one of what I call the Holy Trinity.
That's exactly. And personally, I've never felt that sense of, oh, I've got it now, I don't want to change it again, when I've bought cheaper guitars. So although I've had some amazing sort of lower value guitars in the time, and certainly when I was learning, I was playing cheaper guitars. But as I said, there is that element of kind of, there's that sense of like, I've got the American standard now. It's like, that's it. That's the daddy guitar. And maybe I might buy another one. Maybe I'll buy a Telecaster or whatever. But I don't ever feel like I need to upgrade that one in the sense of.
So I just want more of them.
Yes, always more. So this is it again through the Little Blues Junior. Does it feel like a flatter fretboard?
It does feel flat.
Always loved out of phase kind of.
Yeah.
I've got to learn that downward slide thing. Still, yeah, it's amazing. I mean, that's probably picking up some of the lights and stuff like that. That's one of the things that at the moment in Fender technology, there is still that dilemma. Fender do make noiseless single coil pickups, but some people, people with the real ears that love the classic Fender sound,
you lose a bit of that magic, don't you?
You lose a bit of the magic. Okay, so we're in the custom shop now. Custom shop is originally the custom shop with Fender, and I think custom shop started again sort of back into the 80s, early 90s, was a very small number of Fender's best luthiers making guitars entirely by hand. It's a slightly bigger operation than that now. There still retains that basic sense of hand selecting the timbers and really striving to make something more special than the guitars that come out of the regular factory. But there are now within that custom shop, if you've got this idea of a guy with his chisel and his hammer and everything, making you a guitar from start to finish, that's what they call master built. So you can have that. Fender Custom Shop Master Built, you choose your luthier, but it's crazy. You would not believe at the moment. One of the popular luthiers there at the moment, a guy called John Cruz, is working to a 4-year waiting list for a guitar that he builds. So fun enough, they've actually just recently stopped taking orders for John Cruz because it's
really?
It's just like so. So basically, now a master built custom shop Strat will cost you probably around about £4,000, something like that. So it's a serious kind of purchase. You could, arguably, it depends how much it means to you. I suppose for someone like me, I'm a big Eric Clapton fan. It would mean a lot to be able to go, Todd Krause, who I know is Eric Clapton's kind of preferred builder there. It would kind of be cool for me to say, Todd, I would like a Strat to this specification. You build it. and then I can literally, it's like that is the closest I'm ever going to be.
Do you get to converse with the luthier then? You get to say to him what you want?
No, you get to spec it and choose your luthier.
Okay.
And then basically, but I think Todd also is on some kind of 3-year waiting list or something. It's really crazy. This guitar is what they call team built. So these are guitars where, you know, one guy will make the body, another guy will make the neck, another guy will assemble it. But they're all essentially kind of serious luthiers, proper craftsmen. And the main thing with Custom Shop here is that the timber selection is all handpicked. So it's before the guitar, and you're into this idea of tone woods, and I suppose it's an subjective kind of thing with, you know, what type of timber makes the best sound for a guitar.
That's
but,
exactly.
But rather than the factory produced stuff, which is essentially bulk loads of timber purchased in and then just made, these are, you know, individually selected kind of by someone thinking, well, that would be a nice guitar.
It looks stunning as a result. If you look at the back of the neck, it's my favourite part of the whole machine. Look at that, that's just stunning, isn't it?
This is an ash body, so it's a little bit lighter than a regular alder body. This has a veneer on the top of it of a quilted piece of maple. You don't have to have that if you don't want to. Some people think that looks very, very cool and bling, and other people think it's a bit ostentatious, but you know, you can do whatever you can choose to have either. A flamed maple neck here, it's a one-piece neck, so the truss rod is put in via the skunk stripe at the back.
The whole lot is satin in this case, isn't it?
Yeah, this is all satin, so going to be slightly less glassy sounding than perhaps before. I mentioned this trem system. It's the 2-pivot trem system, but with these higher mass kind of saddles on there, that should give the guitar a little bit more sustain.
And also less gubbins to rub on your palm.
Yeah.
Because I much prefer that system of tremolo. How much is this? £1,800. So this is pretty much, I know it sounds a bit perverse, but this is the cheapest, if we can use that word, or the least expensive is probably a better term, of the sort of guitars that you can get from the Custom Shop. So how does it feel to you?
Well, it's definitely lighter. It's got a slightly, I think what the Fender say is this is the C-shaped profile, but from 1965, so it is fatter than the modern C-shaped profile. Some people may actually find that it's that the extra fatness in the neck makes it less comfortable than the thinner ones. I personally quite like it, and I'm also a big believer in the idea of if you've got a little bit more wood in the neck, it tends to give you a bit fatter sort of tone.
Acoustically, it sounds like it's got more mid-frequencies.
But I mean, I think it's ever so pretty. I love the colour. I don't have a problem with, you know, flame top guitars. I think they look awesome. But let's hear Chappers play. In fact, let's put you back into your amp. I don't know how much the audio on YouTube will pick this up, but in the room, you can so hear the difference between the gloss fretboard maple and the non-gloss.
It's got a warmer, midier sound.
It hasn't got the cutting edge on it that the...
We're going to test the tremolo now, I think.
Let's see what it does.
We'll do the same.
Do you know, I'm amazed how good it sounds with both these layered.
Well, let's just talk about this. This is the Pinnacle Deluxe. this is the Berserker Overdrive Zakk Wylde from MXR. And this is both of them.
So it's a smidgen out, but it's
all right though.
Good
It's
enough for rock and roll.
sweltering in this room.
Yeah, it's very hot.
Yeah.
I think what's really cool about this is there's no bad one.
They're all great.
They're all great. There's not this kind of like, oh, and unless I can afford custom shop, I'm not going to get a good Strat.